Okay, here we are. Habari zenu watu wangu. It has been a while, and here I am. I'm back. I missed you guys a lot. I've been inactive. Life has been going has been going crazy. But here I am back with the Swahili content, and it's a pleasure to be back and making videos again. Special thanks to the people in my Discord server, where we teach Swahili, by the way, and I'll give you the invite link in the description below. Special thanks to Shady and Corel and others who have pushed me, or rather who have reminded me the importance of putting out content out there for people who want to learn Swahili. Now that I've heard that the resources are a bit scarce and people who teach are a bit it's a bit rather difficult, or more difficult rather, to come by compared to other languages, other popular languages like, it's the Spanish, German, French, and what have you. So now that I have this rejuvenated energy again, I'm back. And so let's get into the video. And today I'll be looking at Mnyambuliko of Vitenzi. We'll be doing a bit of grammar, but don't worry, I will walk you through all of it, and I'm going to be providing practical examples so that you can better digest this concept of grammar. So today we will be looking at Mnyambuliko wa Vitenzi. And Mnyambuliko wa Vitenzi means verb conjugation. Now, the word nyambua, interestingly, means to stretch something or to pull something that is stretchable, therefore lengthening it. So, what mnyambuliko vitenzi means, in essence, is you're taking the root of a verb or of a kitenzi, and then now you're going to stretch it, you're going to modify it so that it can be applied into other voices, voices like the active voice, the passive voice, the reciprocal voice. We'll be looking at these in a bit, so that they can be better aligned to the state of the action being performed on the subject and the object. So with that, let's get into examples. For the first one, we'll be looking at kauli ya kutenda. And kauli ya kutenda means it's the basic active voice. This is the natural state of a verb as it is existing in the dictionary, like kula, pika. Oh, everyone loves to eat, that's how my mind instinctively ran to that. We have cheka, lia, ongea, paka, kimbia. That's the basic active voice. Now that's the way it exists naturally. Now as we get now into stretching the verb, as we nyambua hicho kitenzi, tunapo nyambua hicho kitenzi sasa tunaenda kwa kauli ya pili, na kauli ya pili ni kauli ya kutendea. And what kauli ya kutendea means, it means that the action is done for someone or on behalf of someone. I'm going to give you an example. I'm going to use two characters. Well, these characters are actually real people who are in the Discord server, and we do regular reading sessions with, which you don't want to miss. Again, like I said, just join the Discord. It's a good time for you. It's a good place for you to learn Swahili. So back into it, we'll be looking at kauli ya kutendea. We're going to be using two people in this for the examples. We're going to be using Shady, and we'll be using Corel. These are two people that I teach Swahili in the Discord. And so I'm going to use the kitenzi pika. Pika, as you know, means to cook. So if I'm going to say Shady cooked for or on behalf of Corel, we would say Shady anampikia Corel, or Corel anampikia Shady. Now, that's how the cooking was done for either Shady or Corel, depending who is the recipient of the action, or on behalf of either of those. Got that? Okay. Moving on, we'll be looking at the third kauli, or rather the third conjugation, which is kauli ya kutendana. And what kauli ya kutendana is the reciprocal voice. Kauli ya kutendana is the reciprocal voice, which basically means both parties perform an action on each other. So let's use a verb, let's say pikana, or let's use the word pendana. Pendana is let's use the verb pendana. Ama tutumie kitenzi penda as the basic active voice. So as we conjugate it into kauli ya kutendana, or the reciprocal voice, as we say it, we're going to say Shady na Corel wanapendana. Or any other parties love each other. Okay? Wanapendana. It's quite simple. And now we'll be looking at kauli ya kutendeana. I'll give you a tip. Whenever you see the na at the end of a verb or the end of a kitenzi, that means there's reciprocal or mutual delegation. So as we say kauli ya kutendeana, we're gonna use the word cook, or rather the Swahili word pika. So when we use Corel and Shady, we will say Corel na Shady wanapikiana. They are cooking for each other, or they're cooking on behalf of each other. And that's clear as that. Every time you see the na, just know there is a reciprocal action going on. Okay? Now moving on, we'll be looking at kauli ya kutendwa. Now this kauli ya kutendwa is pretty easy to grasp actually, and I should have actually started it with I should have followed it up with the active voice, but here we are anyway. So kauli ya kutendwa is the passive voice. It's the passive voice. For example, chakula kinapikwa ama kitendo kinafanywa. Chakula kinapikwa, translating that into food, is the food is being cooked, or an action is being done, as we say kitendo kinatendwa ama kitendo kinafanywa. Moving on, we'll be looking at kauli ya kutendewa. And so as we look at kauli ya kutendewa, that means it's a passive with intention. It's basically, we're saying that the action is done for the subject's benefit. Let's say Corel and Shady are talking, and let's say Corel doesn't know how to make mac and cheese. Okay, that sounds let's just use mac and cheese anyway. I've never had mac and cheese, by the way. Corel would like to make mac and cheese, but doesn't know how to make mac and cheese. So Corel is gonna consult Shady and ask, hey Shady, unaweza nipikia mac and cheese? And therefore, as the third person, we would say Corel amepikiwa mac and cheese na Shady. See that? So Corel is the beneficiary of Shady making mac and cheese for her. You see that? And now we're going to be moving to the next kauli, which is kauli ya kutendeka. Kauli ya kutendeka means the verb was done to completion, which is basically the action is complete or in a perfect state. It's seen all the way to the end. We'd say, for example, again, back in the kitchen with Corel and Shady, we'll be having them asking each other, let's say, Corel wants mac and cheese, and Shady is the one who's able to make it. So Corel is going to ask Shady, was the mac and cheese able to be made? Was the mac and cheese made? Or was the mac and cheese baked or cooked? I don't know. Do you cook or bake or make mac and cheese? I'm going to use make because that's simpler for me. It's a general word for food anyway. So, and then Shady is going to answer, ndio, mac and cheese ilipikika. You see, kwa hivyo, tukisema mac and cheese ilipikika tunamaanisha chakula hicho kilipikika. The food was made. It's a perfect state of completion of the food being made. Okay? And now we're going to be looking at kauli ya kutendesha. Kauli ya kutendesha here means we're talking about being causative, which basically means the subject causes someone to do something, or to perform an action, or an object to perform an action. It's basically saying kauli ya kutendesha. Tendeshana is the next one. Also, I'm a bit confused, and I'm also back to making 2 videos. Pardon me, I'm a bit confused. I'm reorienting. Kauli ya kutendesha basically means you're an enabler of an action, or you force someone to do an action. For example, Corel speaks to Shady, and since Corel doesn't know how to make mac and cheese, Shady decides, you know what, I'm going to teach you how to make mac and cheese. Kwa hivyo, Shady will say, nitakupikisha mac and cheese, so that next time when Corel would like to be having mac and cheese next time, Shady would have already taught her. Therefore, now Corel has been enabled to make mac and cheese. Clear enough? So, now as we move on to the final one, kauli ya kutendeshana. Kauli ya kutendeshana is basically the reciprocal causative. Again, like I said, whenever you see the na at the end of a verb, at the end of a kitenzi, that's a reciprocative action being done. So that means it's reciprocative causative. Okay, so let's say both of them would like to make mac and cheese now that Shady has taught Coral. So basically, or they know how to make mac and cheese now, and let's say they would like to enable each other to make mac and cheese. I'm gonna say, so Coral is gonna say, Coral is gonna say to Shady that nitakupikisha mac and cheese, and then Shady is also likewise reciprocate the action and also make Coral mac and cheese. Kwa hivyo Coral anampikisha Shady mac and cheese, and then Shady anampikisha Coral mac and cheese. You see that? And so that's how we conjugate the verbs. Therefore, now with all those conjugations, we have 9 ways in which you can conjugate verbs in Swahili. And yeah, so that's how you conjugate the verbs in Swahili. If you have any questions or anything that was not clear enough, feel free to ask any questions in the comments. Also, we hold reading sessions, because this is how actually we got to this video idea, because we were doing a reading session last night and we were looking at one of the verbs, and Shady came up with this question, and I thought I would make this into a video so that anyone in the future would come and learn from it. And if anything was not clear enough, of course, join the Discord. We hold reading sessions, we have word of the day, and so much more activities will be coming up in the future as we grow and grow. And so yeah, and that's all I would like to cover in this video, and I look forward to the next video. Let's see you next time. God bless, mbarikiwe, na mkuwe na siku njema.